Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be working with memory wire. A lot of you had commented, you wanted to know how I work with the wire, what tools I use, and so I thought, okay, it's time to do that. Before we begin, I just wanted to let you know that if you haven't worked with wire before, it might be a good idea to get some 18 or 20 gauge wire just to practice with first. I've been working with wire for many years, and when I first began, I worked with 20 gauge wire and higher, which is smaller and more pliable, and I still ended up with really sore hands, calluses on my fingers, and I was not very good at it. So if you are a beginner, please do not think that because something doesn't work out or, practice makes perfect. Even if it's something that you are so passionate about and love, it still takes time to learn. So yeah, if you're a beginner, work with the more pliable wire. It'll be a lot easier on your fingers. Memory wire has got to be the hardest wire I have ever worked with. So the reason I work with memory wire more than I do with like the 20 gauge or 18 gauge. I work with a lot of 18 gauge, but I find that with memory wire, because it's so small, a lot of the smaller beads that you get with the kits, like for instance, Bargain Bead Box, will fit on that wire. So a lot of my designs depend on the memory wire because it's so small, as well as really, really hard. So whatever, shape I decide to put it in, it's gonna stay in that shape. So like earrings, bracelets, necklaces, I don't normally use memory wire unless it's on a pendant, for instance. I don't use memory wire for actually around the neck. Anyway, we are gonna get into this video. I'm gonna show you what I do. I'm gonna show you how I manipulate it with tools. And yes, even my fingers sometimes, which even for me can be hard and painful at times, but I do it depending on what I'm trying to create. Let's get into it. All right, I'm going to show you of some of the tools that I use when I'm working with memory wire. First, we're going to go over the memory wire. Now, this memory wire I got from Amazon. This is 21 gauge and one of the toughest wires I've ever used, but it is really tiny, and it just goes with those really tiny beads that we get in Bargain Bead Box a lot. That's why I like to use this type of wire, and it keeps its shape. So when you're done, you're good. This one here, because we get a lot of brass or gold findings in those kits, I decided to grab some. This is from Beads and Plenty More. I got this color here. Now I find with this one is 21 gauge as well, but I find with this one, it is a little more pliable, like it's a little more bendable. So if you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit easier on your fingers, this one works really good too. In the States, I'm not sure where you could buy this type of memory wire that's just a little bit softer, but I got mine in Beads and Plenty More in Calgary, and I really like it. So for the tools, now pliers, to do my, I'll show you this pair of earrings here. So to do this and all this twisting around like loops and loops, I use seriously tough pliers. Now these are bail making pliers, at least that's what I call them, because I make a lot of my bails with this type of plier, but these ones here are absolutely amazing to use with a very tough memory wire. This is a very strong set of tools here, and they will not bend with bending that type of wire or even your 16 gauge or 14 gauge wires. These are really good for that, to do the loop-de-loops that I like to do. For the smaller jobs, and I do have smaller, smaller loops that I like to make, so that would be like even this loop here, I'll use one of these. Now this is a wig jig round nose plier. And for some reason, I find this to be really tough. This is a tough set of little pliers. They don't bend, and with when I'm working with this one here is very, very tough. I find that with my other set here, now this set here, I have actually tried to work with these, but as you can see, they're off kilter now. Like if you can, I don't know if you can see that. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I've kind of ruined these in working with this wire. I still can use them, but I've already got another set on order because these have been doing this type of wire for a long time, and they've finally just said, nope, no more. And for cutting the wire, you do not want to use, now this is my little set of wire cutters that I use. You don't want to use these. These will, you'll destroy that within a couple of cuts, because this here, these little edges here are very, very tiny. So soft pliable wire, I use these. I use them with my, if I need to cut some of my stringing material, not a big issue. But for the memory wire, you need a seriously hefty cutters that are not going to bust and bend, you know, the edges there when they cut, because that wire is seriously really hard on cutters. These ones I've had for a long time. These are Mastercraft. I actually got these in a kit in Canadian Tire. So go to your local hardware store. I'm sure you can get these, but yeah, that's where I got these, and these as well. Sometimes if I need to, you know, bend and move stuff out of the way or whatever I'm doing, these came in the kit as well. These are Mastercraft, and they are seriously strong for working with this wire. So don't use any of your delicate tools. Honestly, you don't want to do that, because you will wreck those tools, and then they won't be any good for the other jewelry that you need to do. If you're doing it, you just don't want to. You need hefty tools for this type of wire. Even this one here, even as soft as it is, it's still very hard on tools, jewelry tools. So I have my trusty little notebook as well. I've got some things that I was thinking about doing for you, so I'm just going to do some of that. I want to add some beads. I don't know, we'll do something pretty. Basically, I just want to show you how I twist this wire all up and how I, you know, bend it and manipulate it, because a lot of people only use their memory wire, like this one here is for bracelet. This is a bracelet size. Only use it for bracelets. Not me, I use it for absolutely everything. And bracelets too, right? I mean, yeah. I love bracelets. You guys know that if you've been watching my channel long enough, you know I love bracelets. So I'm gonna go with the end of this wire and just cut that right where the end of it is sitting on the next wire. Take your seriously strong cutters and cut that off. So that gives you almost like a, I mean, you could use this as a hoop, right? So we're gonna do that again. Same exact thing. We're gonna make a set of earrings here. So basically let it sit where it wants to and then cut it. Yeah, that's tough stuff. So now I have two pieces for my earrings. And basically they are pretty much the same size. Okay, I'm going to take this set of pliers and I'm going to put the big part inside the loop, the hoop, and I'm going to pretty much place those pliers opposite of where I made this little, where I made my little slice, okay? Like that. Now with my fingers, and this is where this part gets a little tricky, because you have to have fairly strong fingers. If you feel like you can't do it, then I would take something that's not quite as hard and work with that first until you can work up to working with this, okay? So I'm going to press that out because I want to go opposite, like that, okay? Then holding tight, you just want to continue around like that till you get something like that. And you can see it's kind of sitting wonky right now. That's okay. Do not worry about that. We will fix that when we are done. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one because I want these to be a set of earrings. Okay. So set that one the same way, opposite your little slice there. And press these sides down, going around. Now when you're pressing this, try to hold this plier as tight as you possibly can. This wire will move around if you do not. You just don't want it to slip. It'll scratch this wire as well if you do let it slip. So there we go. Now because this is round wire, like because it's so round, you're not going to straighten it out flat. You're not going to be able to do that. That is really tough to do. You're going to have to use regular wire for that. But like I said, when you're working with very small wire and like say the bargain bead box, those beads fit on here really nice. I got leftover beads from the bracelet that I did earlier in my last video. So we'll use those. And I do have some of the blue goldstone left from my own stash from the last video that I made. So we're going to pull those out. Okay, so that's that. And like I said, like these have a very small hole, so you would not be able to fit this bead on anything but a 20 gauge or higher when it came to regular wire. Unfortunately, when it comes to this type of thing, 20 gauge is not very, it doesn't keep a shape very good. It's very pliable. It's almost a wire that you'd have to layer up with other wires or in a weaving situation. I'm gonna grab some of these. These are just my spacer beads that I used on that bracelet as well, my last bracelet. Probably only need a couple, but I'll take a couple out there. Then I have a couple of my 3mm druck beads left. I think I used all my spacer beads. I don't seem to have any. Basically what I'm going to do first is, as you can see how this one's sitting here, so I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Now you just got to decide what you're going to put on here. So I'm going to put some beads on here. I think we'll start with maybe this one. So at this point now I got to decide what I'm going to do. Am I going to bend this out? I'm going to do a little loop, and I think I'm going to do a little loop. So I'm just going to either bring it this way or this way. I haven't made up my mind yet. And that's what the beauty of it all is you have to decide. A lot of times when I'm making pieces, I decide as I'm going what I'm going to do here. Okay. So I think I'm going to take my 6-step bail making pliers, second smallest, and I'm right up against that metal bead, and hold this really tight. Hold these pliers super tight in your hands. If it slips, it's going to scratch this wire. You don't want to do that. Okay, and then just start twisting it with your finger. Twisting it around. Now it's going to want to bend out of shape. Don't worry about that. Just keep going. Bend it. And as you can see, my fingers, that's normal. Okay, and stop when you get to this side here. Okay, and then turn it like that so you have room to continue your little twist there. And keep going around like that. Now you've locked those in, and you got a little loop there. Now you're going to see that your beads are going to move down like that. So you take your pliers. So I'm going to take my flat curved pliers and I'm going to press those two together. I'm going to press that together. There. And you've got your loop done. First one. Okay, now I'm going to put that back to where it was. At this point you can adjust if you want to. You don't have to. I just do because I'm really OCD about that. I don't know. It's weird. I'm weird. Okay, and then I'm going to push that and adjust it a little bit. Adjusting here and adjusting there. And then do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to go to the inside on that. Okay. Twist it around with your fingers. You can use a set of pliers if you want to, but the problem with using pliers is a lot of times you will scratch the wire. So I use my fingers a lot. And the more that you use your fingers, the stronger they will become, the easier it will be to do all this. Now this one is going to sit like this, and this one is going to sit like that. Now we just have to add more beads. I've even brought out some of my tube beads, which I really do like to use. I'm crazy for these tube beads. We are going to add, I'm going to need a couple more of these, I think. I'm going to grab a couple more of these. So I'm going to start with a 3mm druck bead in silver, right on the top there. Noodle bead. I'm going to do the same thing. So my fire polish, goldstone, and a noodle bead. I think that looks really pretty like that. And I think I'll put one more druck at the end just to finish that off. Now I have this little piece here that I'm going to deal with, and I am going to just make my loop and finish it off. And I'm going to use the same size as I did before. Okay, I'm going to take it like that, and I'm going to just twist it around. Always making sure you keep the size you've picked to the inside so you have the right size. And there's your last loop done. And I'm gonna adjust that so it's sitting in and finished, okay? So there it is. So here I've just added that same sequence again. Now I'm gonna do the same thing on the other earring. Like this, so these two are going to be opposite each other. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction because you can see this one is going around like this. This one I have to go around like that. You want the earrings to be symmetrical and the exact opposite. And holding everything really tight. Just start twisting it around till it meets with the other wire. And then you can just press it a little bit. Okay, like that. I've added the same sequence to this earring on this side. So the same sequence as I did here, I put it here. And then I'm going to take this one and go back around this way, using the same side as I did before, and just twist it around, holding everything sturdy and tight. Lift that up out of your way. Don't worry about it. It's very sturdy. It's not going to get wrecked or anything. Okay, now I've bent it around there to where I like it. And I'm going to bend this in just a little bit. There. And then bend and adjust the way you want. Now we're going to do the same thing to this one. I'm just going to lay it against the other earring. This loop is going this way, so this loop has to go back the other way. Right? Holding everything super tight. Just start twisting it around to make your loop. And you can wear them, you can wear them like this, you can wear them like this. And as you can see, this here is completely separate from the other side. I've just looped them, kind of around each other. But because they're memory wire, they're really not going to move out of shape. Like this is not going to move or change its shape or anything like that. So I think I'm just going to add a couple of those fire polish beads and one of the spacer beads to finish this off. Okay, I got head pins from the trusty bargain bead box. We're going to use a couple of those. I can't remember. I think this was from last month's or the month before. I don't even know anymore. Okay, and then I'm just going to add my sequins on there. So I've added those on there. I'm going to use my flat nose pliers. Just make a little. I'm just going to bend it a little bit so I can make my loop, which I'm going to do. Okay, I've bent it around my pliers and I've gone past my initial loop there, like my initial wire, then the other side of that. Okay, so I know where to cut it off. Now with this one here, you can use your very small, cutters. And I'm going to cut it like that. Before I decide to close it off, I'm going to bend it out a little bit, and then I'm going to add it to my earring. And then I'm going to close it off, bending it in. I'm going to do the same to the other side. And these head pins from Bargain Bead Box, they actually have a really nice thick bottom, so they hold onto that spacer bead nice because it has a pretty big hole in it. Okay, I'm using my flat nose pliers. Make a little bend. Use a very small end of that plier bend it around, go past, readjust your pliers so that you can go past your initial loop. Then use your tiny cutters. Okay, go in there and cut that flush to the other side. I'm going to press it out a little, add it to the earring, and there we are. So I just grabbed a different head pin. These head pins I got from wigjig.com quite a while ago. I actually never did use them. They're really long. Take your head pin, bend it over, bend it around, and then go past your initial wire there. Take your small cutters and cut it flush on the inside of that loop. And you can add it to this one here. So that's how I bend and manipulate memory wire into the shapes that I want. It really is very important to use proper tools with memory wire, being that it is very, very hard to work with. It's a very hard wire, and you just need really good, solid tools and strong fingers. So definitely, if you feel like your fingers aren't going to be able to handle this wire, try this type of thing with the softer wire, like 18 gauge, 20 gauge. Practice a little bit, practice with your tools, twisting and bending and twirling and making your loops. So this pair of earrings goes really well with this bracelet. The earrings I just made and the bracelet from last month's video are the giveaway for August. I know I'm a little bit late for August's giveaway. I'm so sorry about that. But Patty Scott, you are August's free giveaway winner. I will be getting in touch with you to make sure that this bracelet is going to fit you. If it doesn't, I will make sure that it's adjusted to your size, along with the earrings. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, get inspiration from the pieces that we made here today. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell if you want to get notified of other videos upcoming. Winter time is on its way here, so more videos will be coming. We're starting to roll out of our busy season at work, so I will be dedicating a lot more time to my videos, my jewelry, which I'm really excited about. I have missed being in my studio. I have missed you guys. Also, don't forget to head over to my website, sign up for my newsletter that enters you to win the monthly draw that I have. I will leave that right here for you. And you guys have a great day, and I would love to see you back here for my next one. Bye.